In this video, I want to show you 2 times we were warned about Donald Trump being a Russian asset. Let's jump straight in.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President.
So let me show you the second warning.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit
No, you're
that
the
the
puppet.
Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America, that you encouraged espionage against our people, that you are willing to spout the Putin line, sign up for his wish list, break up NATO, do whatever he wants to do, and that you continue to get help from him because he has a very clear favorite in this. Well, that's because he'd rather have.
So those 2 videos that you've seen are just a little under a decade apart. And we saw warnings from, early in 2016 all the way up to late 2024 about Donald Trump being a Russian asset, about Donald Trump literally just being willing to give up Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. Now, just to keep you guys up to date with the reason as to why I'm making this video, as to why we're here, this is what took place in the Oval Office over a few days ago. Let's take a look.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful
to
come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank you?
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
So that's why we are where we are today. The media, the news has been absolutely mental about this situation. Now, it's just so ironic listening back to what Kamala said, and for all of the flaws that Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton had, they broke this down perfectly well. They really did break it down perfectly well. And this is the reason as to why, unfortunately, I feel for a lot of Americans, people that voted for Trump, they're in a position now where it's like, we regret it. But you were warned so many times. And even down to the point of what Kamala said about NATO understanding, you can literally see what Donald Trump and the GOP are trying to do right now. This whole America First movement, they're literally just trying to turn their back on the allies that they've got in Europe with NATO. And you can literally see they're trying to create partnerships with, dictators, people like Putin. And you can see they're literally regurgitating Russian talking points on a regular basis. And we're in a very dark place because of that, because of the fact that these guys are literally aligning with, Putin and the Kremlin. And we were warned. We literally was warned. I said this in my last video, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep repeating it again. I actively believe that Americans need to be doing everything possible to overthrow this man, because what he's been in just a little bit over a month, and I just can't believe the destruction coming out of your country. You've got people that are lining on the streets, people that are going to DC protesting, going to Tesla dealerships protesting. We even saw today JD Vance went away on holiday and he had to be taken to a remote location because people were lining the streets literally to protest against him. Like, this is mental times. And I'm sitting here watching this from across the pond. The Prime Minister of my country, he hasn't got everything right, but to see how he has backed Zelensky in this war, how he welcomed him to the UK. Zelensky went to go and see the King of the UK, even though I'm not a fan of the royal family, but he was welcomed with open arms and he was told, listen, we have your back. There's nothing for you to worry about here. We have your back. And we also saw that the UK, we signed off on funding for Ukraine and for Zelensky as well. This is just very interesting times. We were warned and we didn't listen. Now we're paying the price. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.